Hello and welcome to Ladies of the PGS. I'm your host, Mmmm, and of course, we have with us today Lorena Creole. How are you today, Lorena?
I am doing great, excited about the holidays. I just love this time of year. Even though I'm mostly doing a lot of cooking in the kitchen, I still love this time of year.
Absolutely. Just like you, Lorena, I'm working hard to make this holiday work. There's a lot involved in a lot of logistics work, a lot of things like that. So, very excited. It feels like things are getting kind of back to normal now.
hmm
So I just am enjoying myself. And guys, Lorena and I are here to do our special for the Ladies of the PGS Best Movies of 2022. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to play the promo and we're going to get right to it now.
Okay.
Well, we are back. And once again, thank you to Lorena for being here. And thank you, CJ, for this great intro, which I love, love, love. I wish I could play that thing 24/7, Lorena. I was
Really
almost going
good.
to create a loop where it's just the positive fandom promo on my channel. Let's see how many people would watch it for an hour. But honestly, we are here, and I'm grateful, CJ. Thank you for being so kind to do that for me, to talk about the best movies that we saw in 2022. And Lorena, 2022 was such a unique year. I have never seen a year like this when it comes to movies. What about you, Lorena?
It indeed was very different, especially given some movies that were supposed to come out a year ago or a year and a half ago finally got released, this year. So it was a very interesting year, I want to say. Kind of started off slow, but it seemed the more the year went on, the more and more things just started dropping into theaters and on streaming.
Yes, and Lorena, I agree with you 100%. We are now in the era where we're going to see shows that will just go to streaming now or will be in the theater and then end up into streaming now. It's a completely new era. And of course, this year brought us so many great films that did end up on streaming. Some of these films are still in the theater. Some stayed longer than others. It certainly was very different and certainly had a variety of types of films. But since we are near Christmas, I'm going to start with one of the first films that you and I have actually talked about before on Ladies of the PGS. And that has to mainly be a film called Violent Night. I'm going to share the screen so you guys can see what I'm talking about. And we
hmm
have talked about Violent Night before. I don't know whether this particular shot here where it's saying that it's available to stream on Amazon.
Oh,
I don't know.
nice.
Yeah, I'm hoping that that is true. It says Birmingham News. I'm like, is it Birmingham in the United?
England or Alabama? That's that question.
Yeah, we're both wondering this, but I have to tell you, Lorena, that Violent Night was one of those films that certainly was something that reminded me, as I said before, of Home Alone, Christmas Vacation, and Die Hard all together. Certainly, yes, it is available to rent or buy on Amazon,
I'm just
guys.
seeing it right now. Yeah, it is available. Indeed, to rent or buy.
Absolutely. Yeah, I loved this film, Lorena. Have you had a chance to see this film, Lorena?
I have not had a chance to see it. Now that it's available on Amazon, I probably will soon. It's one of those movies where it's just been a matter of time and opportunity to be able to see it. Have heard great things about it, so I'm hoping I will get to see this soon.
Yes, and guys, it is available to stream. Certainly, it's going to be there. It's available, I guess, since it's on Prime. That means it's going to be available pretty much to multiple markets. But I
hmm
really enjoyed this, and as I said before, there was a lot about the Christmas spirit in this film, and I always feel like we need a little bit more films that celebrate Christmas spirit, that celebrate family. And
hmm
Santa is badass in this film, as I've said before. It's David. Is it Harbor? Um,
Yeah.
Yes, and you guys remember him from Stranger Things fame, amongst other things. This guy's a talented actor, but we even see some tender sides. We get some Santa lore. As you and I discussed before, Lorena, I wasn't expecting all that in the film, but I especially was surprised at some nice head crunching, bone skull smashing violence in this, just to release that Christmas tension that we all experienced during the holidays. This film lifted my spirits. And by the end of it, I was singing Deck the Halls and Christmas songs. So I think when a film titled Violent Night can put you into the Christmas spirit, there's a little bit more to it than meets the eye. So this was one of my picks, Lorena. And I still am looking forward to hearing what you have to say when you actually see this film, Lorena. I'm really eager to find out what you think of it. So there is that. So that's one of my picks
Hmm.
going forward. Another pick that I have, and you and I have also talked about this next pick, mainly because it was such a heavily publicized and somewhat controversial film. And when I say controversial, it was a film that started prior to the pandemic.
Hmm.
There was so much discussion about this film, certainly a lot of discussion because there are so many fans of Batman out there. And, it felt like forever. Certainly, we've been waiting a long time to get a new Batman film. And we got something that
Hmm.
was really kind of outside of the box, as far as I'm concerned. The Battison film, The Batman. And, I have to be honest with you, Lorena, although the film didn't make as much money as I guess they were hoping for, I like these dark, gritty, noir style films with superheroes in them. And I love me some Pattison. So, Lorena, you saw this film. And if I remember, it may not have been one of your favorite renditions of Batman.
No, it really wasn't. I think part of it for me is tainted with it being Robert Pattinson and kind of like his sort of like lackadaisical approach to the role, which didn't quite sit well with me. But that aside, the Batman story that we got in this, it it didn't appeal to me. It wasn't like, say, Christian Bale was not my favorite Batman, actually. Actually, he wasn't. Um, Ben Affleck is actually my second favorite Batman because my first favorite is gonna be Michael Keaton. But compared to the other Batman movies that I've seen, I really did not enjoy this one as much. And I think part of it had to do with the way that Catwoman was depicted. And Catwoman is one of my favorite DC villains, kind of like that gray area, so to speak, with her and her relationship with Batman. So I really didn't find her to be as sensual, as sexy. I didn't really find Batman to be as brooding, as much of a vigilante as in previous films. So it was an okay effort. It was an okay film. For me as a DC normie, it just didn't do it for me, like say Keaton or Affleck's Batman.
You make such a good point, Lorena, especially when it comes to Pattison. And I don't really think that there have been a lot of films where people are necessarily looking at him for his sex appeal, although I think the guy is hot. I love this man. This might have been one where he might have or could have decided to turn it on full force. And it was a turnoff hearing his comments, prior to the pandemic, prior to everything, all the years that he was preparing for
Mhm.
it. I think a lot of us expected a little bit something different, especially since Affleck had gotten into that stellar shape that was
Yes.
extremely sexy and hot. We got to see those abs. We got to see him working it. I mean, he was
Mhm.
working it and it was hot. Like,
I
wow.
loved it.
Yeah, it was certainly something that people would now go forward and question, because now we were seeing sexy Batman, sexy Superman. We were seeing these characters in a way we hadn't seen sex appeal before. And you're right about Michael Keaton. He kind of has this sexy element about him as well. He takes his time because he has the experience. but it sure is a very sexy approach. And of course, everybody remembers, for me, the Catwoman that will always take the cake is Eartha Kitt. And I always remember her saying something like, I'm going
Yes.
to get you, Batman. Like it's like, oh, she's going to get him. All right. Like
Oh, yeah.
she's going to get him, and he's not going to forget it. Certainly a lot of innuendos there, but it needs a little finesse. This is a character that we are expecting to be, maybe if not over the top, have incredible charisma and charm, and perhaps
Mhm.
I'm going to say, in actuality, we didn't get that. I think they were a bit more reserved for such a dark and brooding
Agreed.
movie. The other characters seem to shine a bit more. I actually liked the cops in this.
Mhm.
Also liked the bad guys. The Penguin stood out a little bit, if I remember correctly. Even the, let's say the organized crime gentlemen were kind of funny in their own way. After all, the character, this particular character of Batwoman,
Mhm.
um, she's actually the daughter of one of the organized crime persons. So it was very it was a tangled web, if you will. And from the rating, we see it wasn't that great. I loved it because of these visuals that we got. And I always say it feels like this particular Gotham for me was New York, but I loved it. And I'm glad that you're here to give this alternate view, because a lot of people share your opinion about the film. And certainly things could have been changed to make it have a rating that's higher than a 7.8. So there is that. Also, it's had the unfortunate experience of following No Way Home into the right after.
Yeah.
So people had, this huge expectation, after that. And it's hard to follow something like No Way Home the following year.
Mhm.
So there was that.
Absolutely.
But this was the second film that I had on the list, Lorena. Now, the third one that I did want to bring up is a film that I believe you invited me to review with you and Cameron. Am I correct in saying that?
But the Batman?
I think it was the Elvis film.
It was the Elvis film. Yes. Yes,
Yes.
indeed. Yes.
So, guys, if you want to see our review of Elvis, please check out Lorena's channel, and you can see me along with Lorena, and I think Cameron
Yes.
was with
Yes.
us when we reviewed this film. Lorena, this film was stellar. It's obviously directed by Baz Luhrmann, so we know it would be something like the
Mhm.
Moulin Rouge style version, but Elvis is an entertainer. Sparkle is in his name. Flashiness. We want to see something that's going to amaze us. Certainly, we saw an amazing performance by the lead actor. Not anybody could play this Elvis role. It was almost tender in a way, Lorena. I haven't ever seen Elvis portrayed this way. And I think that, even taking this on, although I didn't care for the spin that his manager may have been taking advantage of the situation, it certainly was a statement, Lorena. No one could forget this version of Elvis because it was so spectacular.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For those of us who were too young to remember who Elvis truly was as a personality, he kind of, by the time, I want to say, by the time some of us found out about him, unfortunately, he had like passed, he had like passed away. But he was such an entertainment legend. So many people took their leads from Elvis, Vegas. There's always an Elvis impersonator. Which Elvis are you talking about? Are you talking like 1950s Elvis? Are we talking like World War II Elvis? Are we talking, fried banana sandwich Elvis? Which Elvis incarnation are you talking about? Almost to the point where one of my favorite Disney animated movies, which is Lilo and Stitch, okay, they use Elvis's music throughout that whole thing. And in one scene, Stitch has on the iconic white rhinestone outfit from Elvis's performance, in Vegas. So this film did a really great job of letting us know who Elvis the person was, in addition to Elvis the entertainer. So I got totally sucked into this film with how well it was written, the spectacle, they literally spared no expense with the spectacle because Elvis was larger than life when he, when he was on stage. So this is one of those movies where I knew of Baz Luhrmann, but I wasn't really like like a movie theater nerd of his work. But I saw this and was like, okay, now I see what the hype was about because it was truly an experience. I saw this in the theater and it blew my mind. Absolutely, absolutely blew my mind.
It certainly did. And I do also want to mention that they make a point that Elvis obviously felt it was important to stay in Memphis a lot. He got the torch passed to him through many fantastic entertainers of different ethnicities, guys.
Mhm.
Elvis has never kept that a secret. It was beautiful to see what was going on. And we saw that happen, the relationship that he had with others, not just in day to day, but also when he performed. The crowds wanted to be, let's say, more integrated, and there was pushback from that. And we saw that in this film. Lorena
Mhm.
made a point of showing that it was so impactful to see it from these points of view, almost as if you were there, Lorena. I have to give him a lot of credit for even bothering with this. He didn't have to have that in there at all. He wasn't going to gain anything by having that, but he felt it was part of the story of America, of someone who is so impactful as Elvis Presley. So I agree with everything you said, Lorena. Certainly, anybody who wants to learn more about Elvis, certainly do check out Boz Luhrmann's Elvis there.
Yes.
Um, and the next film that I want to mention is another one that I believe we reviewed together, and I cannot remember, Lorena, whether it was on your channel, maybe we were on another channel, but we have spoken about this film in detail before, because it really, we're seeing.
Yes, we did. We did indeed review this movie, and I believe this was another one. I think we reviewed this with Cameron as well.
Yes. Yes, that's correct. And certainly the thing that stood out for me in this film was, of course, this is a Predator film. So I should mention that here you can see in the poster, it's
Mhm.
a Predator film and it's called Prey. And it was a movie that was not in the theater, correct? It went straight to streaming, Lorraine?
Yes, yes, it did.
So I probably shouldn't be mentioning this one because I'm kind of doing theater ones, but that's okay. I messed up, but it does not matter. I'm still going to throw it in here. I did want to mention that I liked it, and you and I discussed some of the problems with the story. For me, the
Mhm.
standout thing really was Dakota Beavers, who plays her brother, who she looks up to, and I thought it was so important to see characters like this. And one of the comments that I had made was the chivalry of Native American men could be witnessed in this film, in a way that, I think was just so beautiful to see. Her brother, this gentleman, is remarkable. So she follows him around. They're very close. They're very tight. And
Mhm.
he's teaching her, what's important in their culture and life. And it was just beautiful. And there's a predator. So
Yeah.
it's really interesting. There were some flaws in it. You and I mentioned it, but
Mhm.
it's one of my favorites. What about for you, Lorena?
Prey is it actually turned out to be quite good. A part of me was really annoyed because the marketing for this film was abysmal and it really should have gone direct to the theater. Amber Midthunder, who plays the protagonist, plays Nero. She was wonderful
Mhm.
in this film. And you're right, seeing the protective nature of the men in the tribe. It's not that they didn't feel that she couldn't handle things on her own, but they felt that it was their job to protect her. And
Yeah.
you saw that, you saw that theme throughout the entire film. But it's pretty much the twist on this is that because she is not seen as a threat and she's seen as, I won't say lesser than, but less of a threat than the men, she's not considered to be a threat. And it's with her using her mind and powers of observation that she finds a way to actually be a threat. So I thought that that was an interesting twist on it. Thoroughly enjoyed watching this. I think I watched this like twice. I still wanted to watch it in the Comanche language. I
Yes.
really wish that they would have spoken it a bit more in the movie, but like Cameron said, trying to get the actors to actually do that, learn how to say that in that particular language probably would have taken longer. I'm like, okay, fine, but that was just something that I would have liked. So I really am looking forward to watching this in the Comanche language. This is how much I like this film.
Yeah, I that's such a good suggestion, Lorena. I had forgotten about that, and certainly they took so much care in making this film. It's a unique
Hmm.
experience. This is why we're here. We want to have experiences like this, and it is one certainly worth checking out. It's so exciting when we get something like this. The next film that I want to talk about is obviously one that has pretty much been the showstopper of the year. I'm not going in any particular order, Lorena. And for those of you who are watching, I just happened, these were just movies that I thought off of the top of my mind. But no one can deny the success
Ooh, yeah.
of Top Gun Maverick. And Lorena, according to this article, it's saying that it is available to stream, how to watch it. They're telling you how to go ahead and stream it. Lorena, this truly was the breakout film of the year, making over $1 billion. You and I kind of waited to see it, right? We didn't see it right away. Um,
No.
the summer was flying by. Tom Cruise was very smart to make sure his film premiered at Cannes that year. He, flies in like a ninja, like a superstar. The day of the premiere, flies in, arrives right when the thing is going to open. It's just so fantastic. Tom Cruise puts 110% in everything he does, and he certainly did that here with Top Gun Maverick.
Hmm. Absolutely. This film was a movie that I was looking forward to, and it kept getting pushed off and pushed off and pushed off. And I'm just like, really? We really want to see this because we saw the trailers, the nostalgia's there. We're like, please let this movie be good. Please let this movie be good. And when it was released specifically in the theaters, I didn't get a chance to see it right away. Very upset that I didn't get a chance to see it right away because it's like, I want to see this movie. And then saw it in the theater and just blew me away watching it. First of all, having the movie start out with Tom Cruise thanking the fans for coming and seeing this film. And then for the next 2 hours or so, we get those great feelings from the original Top Gun. We get current issues that are going on. You've got like the next gen that are kind of there and learning, their way around and learning actually from Maverick, and Maverick kind of learning some stuff, from him as well. And it's a great continuation of the scene, or we'll say of the storyline of Goose's son and the guilt that Maverick still has about that. So this film was, I mean, it was truly an experience. I wanted to earn like $2 billion because it was just such a wonderful, wonderful movie to sit through and experience.
Yeah, I agree 100%, Lorena. This was remarkable. It's what we all wanted. I think that fortunately, Tom Cruise kept with this and was determined to make this film. In
Hmm.
particular, Lorena, you and I were talking about how he wanted to do a lot of his own stunts in this, a lot of different parts. I don't even know all the details, Lorena, but there was a
Hmm.
lot of literally physical flying in this film in ways that they could have just CGI'd the whole thing, right? But they decided not to do that. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, I got a text message I had to look at. I'm sorry, can you repeat the question for me?
Yes. What I was saying is, what's so interesting about this film is that in a time where they could do a ton of CGI, Tom Cruise staying, straight to form, full to form, managed to keep that desire to do more physical effects. And he didn't want it to be artificial. There was a challenge and it required flying and pretty fancy flying in stuff that we hadn't really seen before. It's like he topped himself in a way that I thought was very interesting, where he had to be there, where he was passing the torch to these other
Hmm.
pilots. And
Yes.
I found that that was really important. And you and I were talking about the role of men in films and how they are now setting the example for others. This is exactly what we saw in Top Gun. Certainly something that Tom Cruise, I think, is showing a lot of people, that we still want to see things like this, Lorena.
Absolutely, especially, and I'm glad you mentioned about the practical effects. The most amazing scenes in this film are when you are in the cockpit of these fighter jets, whether you're in the cockpit with Maverick, whether you're in the cockpit with the Top Gun classes going on. You feel, I want to say, you feel what they feel when they have to do those steep super G pull ups. You feel like you are actually doing that along with them. I'm so glad they didn't CGI that. I think Tom Cruise made it mandatory that they had to actually go through flight training because they had to learn how to do that, how to respond to the turns, how to respond to the controls. There is something about the generation of that kind of effect that is practical, because CGI, it's kind of just like, yeah, all they do is just sitting there with a green screen. That's, stuff that's nothing to do with that. Anybody can do that. But the fact that they actually went through that training and did that, it was so authentic. Some fighter pilots, like retired fighter pilots, saw Top Gun and were just like, yeah, that just brought back so many so many memories. It was that authentic, and I really do believe that added to the power of this film. You literally feel like you're flying a fighter jet in this film. So yeah, kudos for him sticking with practical effects like that, because one of the things that I think a lot of filmmakers are forgetting is that CGI should be used as a tool to assist the practical effect, not become the entire effect. There's sometimes where that can't be helped, but other times it's just like, don't rely on the CGI to tell the story. So I'm glad Top Gun Maverick did not do that.
I agree. Certainly, it looked very hard what they were doing. Like, I couldn't believe what.
Oh yeah, it was hard.
And this is the return for me. This is the return of the date movie. If you're going on a date, go
Yes.
see Top Gun Maverick. If it's in a theater near you, guys, you won't be disappointed with
Mm-mm.
that choice. This is the film that you want to take that special someone on a date to see. So
Absolutely.
there, yeah, it's like it's so nice to see something like that again. The next film that I want to talk about is, I guess it is somewhat controversial, but it
Hmm.
is for an actress who pretty much has been sort of this incredibly talented sex symbol that we lost way too early. It's Anna de Armas's, what I like to call an art film of Blonde, which was
Hmm.
just so fun to watch, very different. There were a lot of serious things in this. This isn't for the faint of heart. It's not for children. It's not a family friendly film, but it was an interesting foray into what is a speculation about some of the events. It's based on real life events, but um,
Hmm.
certainly I think that a film about a woman who is so interesting and provocative and colorful and talented could be told. And I think that this was a great way to do it. What did you think of Blonde, Lorena?
I absolutely love this movie. The reason that I love this movie is because it wasn't the pretty picture when it came to Marilyn Monroe, or who I like to call Norma Jean, because people seem to be I won't say obsessed, but too fascinated with the glamorous life of Marilyn Monroe, which seemed to, like, it was effortless in a way. And this movie showed all the personal struggle she had, like her background, her upbringing, her mother, how men treated her. You got to see the entire thing when it came to her. And this is one of the things that I love about this film is that it told me things that I didn't know. It showed me things that I didn't know about her. It showed me Norma Jean with the Marilyn Monroe persona put on when she had to put it on and take it off when she had to take it off. So a lot of people had issues with it not being this nice, neat package. And as someone who's lived in Hollywood and has been around a lot of actresses and actors, there are a lot of not so pretty things that go on. So I really have to give kudos to the director for giving us something like this. I enjoyed watching Blonde from the beginning to to the end of it. It was truly it's not for everybody. Like I believe you said, it is not for the faint of heart. However, if you're one of those people who likes to watch movies about actors or icons who have passed on, who have kind of had like a infamous air around them, you will enjoy this.
Absolutely. It certainly is a trip down nostalgia lane, as well as you said, Lorena. And if you are a huge fan of Marilyn, I think that a person would enjoy this immensely. And I can't get enough of Anna de Armas. I feel like this is one of her breakout roles. She's already fantastic anyway, but this was really something that she showed a little bit more of her range, and I absolutely loved it. I think that she's so talented, and I
Mhm,
want to see more of her work, especially after seeing her in this film. Now, another film that I absolutely loved, and I didn't know what to think of this film, Lorena, because it was so different and kind of outside of the box.
mhm,
It's a film called 3,000 Years of Longing. And the film is essentially about a woman who finds a genie, but this lady, she doesn't really believe in romance or fantasy or anything. She's very
mhm,
practical, and she's kind of suppressing her own needs and desires. And ironically, and I guess it shouldn't be a surprise, the genie, played by Idris Elba, breaks
mhm,
her out of her shell, and it is glorious. It is beautiful. It's like she's blooming. It is just absolutely amazing, and we are treated to fantastic tales of the genie's life. We're treated to all these interesting romantic notions of what is important to people in life, and how people go in different paths and different directions, even to a point where you almost wonder, how is this woman? She has every advantage, you see, because she's a scholar and knows all those stories and everything that happens when you open up a Pandora's box, if you will she take
mhm.
the bait? What happens here? It certainly was a very interesting foray on trying to figure out, how does a modern woman handle her desires. Lorena, did you ever get a chance to see this film? And if so, what were your thoughts about it?
Unfortunately, I did not get a chance to see this film. And I remember we were actually reviewing the trailer and it looked very intriguing.
Absolutely. I think that the film is probably available on streaming now. So you guys, you can certainly see
Oh.
it. It's certainly very easy to pick up this film on a streaming service and just enjoy it. There is that. So do check it out. It's actually probably a very good film to watch over the break, if you guys get time off. Certainly something to think about, because the film it makes you wonder about our modern take on romance, Lorena.
Hmm.
It makes you go outside of the box. And of course, Idris Elba is in it, everybody. So
That's lovely.
yeah. All I can say about Idris Elba in this performance is, when you first see him, as the genie here, he kind of appears to the character
Mhm.
there. I am just so stunned by his performance, because he makes this genie come alive. I believe that I actually didn't know that, and they're called dins. I didn't know that there was a whole lore to them as well. So I learned quite a bit about it, and he was absolutely intoxicating. I'm just really happy that I got a chance to see that film. So, guys, please do check it out. I'm pretty sure it's on a streaming service right now for that. So that's an option. Certainly, something you want to watch when you have a lot of free time because it brings up a lot of discussion. But the next
Mhm.
film I want to talk about is Avatar. Now, Lorena, I know you and I have been talking almost to a point of ad nauseum about Avatar, mainly because there are so many expectations for Avatar: The Way of Water. Um,
Mhm.
and I did get a chance to see Avatar. You and I have talked about it before on Ladies of the PGS. I'm trying to share it, and I'm losing my. There we go. I'm click. I have way too many tabs open here, guys. So bear
I
with
know the
me on this.
feeling.
But yes, Avatar: The Way of Water. I saw it. I loved it. And part of why I liked it is because it's a family film with the importance of family. There's a lot of toxic male appreciation in this one, Lorena. There are fathers and sons, and the relationship of fathers and sons. And as I said before, Jake Champion, I believe that's the young actor's name, really stands out. There's a decision that he has to make about family, Lorena. I haven't seen anybody make decisions like this because no one wants to talk about family anymore in films. It seems like it's important to James Cameron to talk about family. Is this a sign that things are coming back? Lorena, did you get a chance to see Avatar? I know it's been a busy holiday season, but did you get a chance to see it in the movies? Or what are your opinions from what you've been hearing about this film? Because there's so many expectations. It has to make like $1 billion to break even, right?
Mhm. Um, well, we'll just say I wasn't the biggest fan of the original Avatar movie. As a matter of fact, I didn't see it when it came out. We actually did a watch party for it a couple of months ago because that's the first time that I had ever, that I'd ever seen it. And my beef, of course, with it is that it seemed to rely much too much on the visuals are stunning, absolutely stunning. The story, I got issues with it. So it kind of pulled me out of it. With The Way of Water, the trailer is very beautiful. I haven't had a chance to see this yet. I was actually supposed to go see it and stuff happened and I didn't get a chance to. I didn't get a chance to see it. So from what I have been hearing, that definitely there is a strong message of family in this movie, the importance of fathers, the family you have, including those who you may pull into your family, regardless of where they came from. From what I understand, those are very good messages that are coming out of the film. Plot wise, I've heard it suffers from the same thing that the first movie did. The effects are amazing. The difference is now more studios have access to CGI and effects like that. So what's going to make this different? They decide to go to something or go with the water world. Water is notoriously difficult and expensive to render on screen. So that's so I understand that's the next level that they went through. But I'm hearing the same things about this movie that I'm hearing about the original Avatar. So more than likely, I will probably go see it either on $5 night or or when it comes out on streaming. And like we've kind of discussed before, I've been to Pandora, the world of Avatar at Animal Kingdom, and it is such a dead duplicate of the movies. I honestly, I would be happy never sitting in these movies really ever again, but I would have that experience at the world of Pandora, so much so that I wouldn't really feel that I would have to see the actual film, which gives a lot of props to the Imagineers who put that together along with James Cameron.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting that you mentioned that. And listen, Lorena, I have not been secret about the fact that I
You love Sam Worthington. You do. It's all right. It's all
I
right.
love this man. Look, I had no idea when I saw Avatar that what was going to happen to him. Okay. So I was quite surprised and I did watch the rest of the film, but I thought I got my just deserves because I do love this man. And, of course, he turns out to be a Navi. So he's no longer you know, this way, but that's okay because I could still, in part two, I could kind of like still hear him when he's with his kids and he's like, look, this is what you got to do, kid. And I'm like, yeah, that's Sam Worthington. That's him. That's him. That's so I did enjoy that. But I think, here's a picture of him with his co-star Zoe Saldana, who is beautiful, lovely. Um,
Yeah,
her
I love her.
Yes, and but I will always love Sam Worthington, as you know. I think he's wonderful. So he is enough. Now, it's the reason why I think it's very funny, and I mentioned it too, Lorena, is there used to be a time when people would go to the movies if somebody was in a film. And
That's true.
I don't remember. I mean, Tom Cruise is one of them. People will go say, "Oh yeah, I want to see the new Tom Cruise film."
Mhm.
But we kind of been talking about this, and it's true that Sam Worthington may not have capitalized on a lot of his appeal as an actor, and maybe the projection for the studios for his career was different. But he isn't doing bad, guys. As far as I'm concerned, I still love him. So I had to show this photo, Lorena, because I love this guy so much. But thank you for bearing with me, guys. I think that as a family film, you can't go wrong with Avatar. Lorena,
This is true. You really can't. It's a film you can sit down with your kids and watch, or a film that, your kids can sit down and watch. That alone is going to make money, The difference between, like, say, the single person plucking down like $20, and you've got a family of 5 with all the tickets and the popcorn and the stuff like that. So, yeah.
yes, yes, and guys, do check out Lorena's review of the attraction at the parks. It's incredible to see what they've done there. So please do go to her channel and check that out as well. Now, the next film I want to talk about is a film that I saw at the beginning of this year. It's called The Northman, and it's absolutely wonderful. It is obviously about Vikings. But what I loved about it, Lorena, was the lore and the rawness and the toxic masculinity of it. You could just feel the cultural significance in this. It was an amazing film. I enjoyed it a lot. It is violent. It's not for children.
Mhm.
Um, but I think that it certainly had this spirit to it that was absolutely beautiful about this culture. I asked someone from that region if this was an accurate depiction of
Mhm.
the culture, and they said yes. And I had no idea, Lorena, that it was this way. But I enjoyed every minute of this film. That was so raw. That was so amazing to see. This depiction of what life might have been like, let's say at that point,
Mhm.
um, and the turn of events, there was kind of a legend or associated with it. I really loved it. Had you heard about this film, Lorraine? I know it came out earlier this year.
Yes, I did hear about it courtesy of Chris Gore, and I did not get a chance to see it in the theater. However, I have it on my watch list for Amazon Prime because I had heard so many great things about this movie. One of the interesting things about this movie, number one, that sold it to me, is the title, The Northman.
Hmm.
From what I remember, there was actually this old English prayer from the people who, like, lived, on the coast facing, Norway, because they would get invaded on the regular by the Vikings, and they had this prayer that said, "Lord, save us from the wrath of the Northmen."
Yes.
So I'm like, that's very smart how they worded that, because if we knew that, pretty much exactly what this movie, is going to be about. So this is one of those where yet another on my staycation list where I just basically tune out with snacks and stuff and watch all of the movies that I have not had a chance to watch. And this one is definitely at the top of my list.
Absolutely. And Lorena, I have a feeling that you and I are going to be doing some kind of watch party of this film on toxic male, because this might be the most toxic male film I have seen all year. Lorena, it was just absolutely stunning. Skarsgård is amazing in this.
Hmm.
There's a lot of eye candy in this, some adult nudity. Thank you for doing that. Um, I really enjoyed it for that reason and so many more reasons. So it is certainly worth watching, Lorena, and it's entertaining. Now, the next film I'm going to get some flack for because I know that
Uh-oh.
nobody here has seen this film, and it's only because, well, I can't answer why, but I had to throw this in because I'm a huge Downton Abbey fan, and if you guys know, Downton
Hmm,
Abbey was for a short time before The Walking Dead one of the number one dramas in the world. And so,
that's correct.
yes, and I love you and I love costume dramas. Um,
Mhm,
Downton Abbey, A New Era. I think it's the third film in the series, but it's been such a popular series, and they didn't disappoint with this film this year. Certainly, we did see some changes happening with Downton, and I believe that there might be more films in tow because people keep turning out to see them. But I did have to mention it because it's something that still seems to be going strong, and I
mhm.
think people will continue to keep that Downton Abbey feeling alive. So for those of you who can stand it, yes, it's a costume drama. Bless your heart, and you're here and you're listening to me talk about Downton Abbey. Thank you for just putting it up with that. And I'm not going to say another word about that for right now. Now, the next two films that I want to talk about, Lorena, are films that you got me to watch. And I have to tell you, Lorena, when it comes to just having incredible ability to make a film, certainly we saw something that you and I both have talked about, how it
Mhm.
really has been rivaling a lot of the modern superhero films that we know and love. And the film is called, I'm just trying to pull it up here. I'm trying to pull it up. Yeah, here we go. Come on. I have too many tabs open. Sorry, guys.
I know the feeling.
The film is one that you and I watched together, and has really, as far as I'm concerned, maybe as far as I'm concerned, this feels like the breakout film of the year for me. And the reason why is because it was just so beautifully done. Um, it was
Yes.
stunning from 1 minute to the next. Brahmastra Part One, Shiva, which is the first part, truly a labor of love by this writer director, and it's just so lovely. The effects were stunning, but also the gentleness of the film,
Mhm.
the balance of the villains and the heroes, what we saw in regards to dimension and scale, imagining what these powers are like, feeling the powers. Here, I kind of paused it at one of the scenes that you and I talked about was so stunning, the water
Yes.
scene where it just was so balanced. It was very natural. You could see the power in the air. It felt like it was there. The understanding of it. It also has some veteran actors who are, incredibly well known internationally. Um,
Mhm.
it was just stunning. People are raving about this. I think that this score is wrong. I think it's. I would give it more like an 8.6. Lorena,
Agreed.
you and I watched it. Um, we know that the future for these films, because the next parts are coming up, are
Mhm.
right. What were your thoughts on Brahmastra Part One, Shiva?
Well, first of all, I remember we did a review of the trailer because it was just absolutely stunning. It was like something we wished Marvel would give us, but wasn't giving us at all. This film, it will definitely give you vibes, I want to say, like the Eternals, but the story is uniquely Indian in culture, and it was just a feast for the eyes, a great buffet for those of you who love the story of, of the hero's journey. It just wraps you up, and literally, you don't know that 3 hours have gone by the time, this film is over with. There's some parts where it does kinda get, like, a little slow. I thought the romance was a little too simplistic, but I'm saying this because we've seen the likes of RRR and KGF, so they handled it a bit differently. Actually, I like that a bit better, but great story. I mean, I really any criticisms that I have of the story are really small and and minuscule. It did not take me out from my enjoyment. And this movie has one of the most exciting car chases I've ever seen in the longest time. I felt like I aged in a good way watching that, watching that car scene. I'm like, oh my God, I think I can breathe now. But amazing film. I really wish that Disney would have pushed advertising this film much earlier than they did. They only seem to have gotten a clue, I want to say, within the past 2 or 3 weeks or so since it hit Disney Plus. So this is a film families can watch. Everyone can sit down and watch. There's something for everyone, and it's just a great experience. Absolutely.
It really is, Lorena. And, once again, this is the type of level of movie making that we were expecting from the major studios, and we haven't been getting, and it's been disappointing. And we keep going
Hmm.
back, expecting that we're going to see that level of movie making, and we're not seeing it. Um,
Right.
another film that I want to mention, which is equally good, but just in a different, was got a different feel to it for sure, more
Hmm.
mature perhaps, is of course the film that's taken everybody by storm.
Yes.
RRR. Lorraine,
Yes.
this is a film where we saw so much and we're given so much and we're just entertained so much that even in the most unbelievable scenes, it doesn't matter. Like the bridge scene where they're supposedly holding on and they're keeping that guy from the fire, the kid from the fire, and we know it's impossible for them to hold on there, but we don't care because this film is so good.
It is so, so good. I mean, this is one of those films that's overrated in a good way because you get this amazing story. You get these characters. You have Beam and Raj. You have these two just amazing personalities that develop, and you invest very, very quickly in who they are and the story of them together in conflict, apart, along with the larger story. We are so invested in it that they can do some of the craziest things, and it can't happen for real. But like you were saying, we don't care. We don't care. We just want to see Raj and Beam doing crazy freaking stuff to achieve, their ends. Like Beam jumping out, and instead of, we thought ammo was going to come out of the darn truck, there's freaking lions and tigers and bears and deer and stuff coming out. And we're just like, that's not realistic, but we don't care.
Mhm.
We don't care. We just want to see Beam go and rescue that little girl. That is all we freaking care about. We don't care if he has to enlist skunks to do it. We don't care. We just want to see it. But this film, it's something that taps into yet another thing that Hollywood has forgotten about: how to tell a story
Yes.
that gets you so wrapped up and so invested in who these characters are that you feel as if you know them by the time, yeah, this scene, man, I will never forget the
Oh
look on our faces during
my
the watch party that we had, because we had, Americans, we had, all kinds of people, especially those familiar with Indian
God.
movies and Indian viewers, and they were just like, yeah, y'all weren't ready for this. It's like,
I
no,
thought
no,
it
no,
we
no.
thought it was gonna be, like, maybe one animal, but wow, it was
And
unbelievable.
the way it was shot, that's the other thing about how beautiful SS Rajamouli shot this movie. I mean, it's like a big budget, epic thing going on here. It's, yeah, we were just like, I can't believe what I'm seeing.
I still can't
But
believe it.
I love it. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. This movie needs to win an Oscar. It's already nominated for 2 Golden Globes. It's nominated for a Golden Globe for a foreign language film, and also nominated for Best Song, Natu Natu. If you have not seen that video, if you have not seen it on YouTube, if you have not seen it in the movie, you need to go back and you need to see it. It's just I can't say enough about this film, and I really do hope that SS Rajamouli does so much more in Hollywood. I so want to see more things coming from him.
And Lorena, this film has gotten a lot of attention. It's gotten a Critics' Choice Award. I think it's gotten a Contenders Award. Um,
Mm-hmm.
we already know that, the director had said that he was inspired by other movies that he's seen that made
Yes.
him want to go ahead and make his film. Excuse me. Certainly, we are seeing, some incredible filmmaking. Um, I think that it shows what's possible from so many different cultures to make films like this. And we need to continue to see stuff like this. I hope they invest more in him, as you said, Lorena. This is the future of action films for me. I just was so impressed with the heart that this film had, Lorena. I was just stunned. We were so
Yes.
incredibly moved by this. And the last film that I want to mention, oh my gosh, I've really gone overboard with this, but I might as well just go for it. The last film that I wanted to mention, Lorena, and I promise you can have as much time to talk about whatever film as you want. So this is I promise you take as much time as you need. But the last film that I wanted to mention, Lorena, was a film that I wasn't expecting to like. And, I'd heard about it. This is not a new franchise. Hellraiser
Mm-hmm.
is not new. It's been around since
Mm.
I was a teenager and scared of
Mm-hmm.
terrible looking creatures that still scare me that I can't go into a dark room without turning the light on. Um, it's the truth. Because I'm a fraidy cat and I'm not ashamed to say it. Hellraiser, the new Hellraiser, was very unique, very different. Because I think they decided to address, I'm not saying they haven't done this before in Hellraiser,
Mm-hmm.
but they decided to address the notion of somebody who has an addiction. And I was like, wow, this is very different. What happens
Mm-hmm.
when someone who has an addiction gets exposed to the box? Like, what happens? What type of trouble? Because this is what happens, unfortunately. We already know many different things can happen, but boy, what happens when addiction is something that, has a profound effect on your life and
Right.
you are confronted with decisions that
Mm-hmm.
it's hard to make under normal circumstances, but now you're being taken advantage of in a sense because you have this addiction. And I thought it was very interesting for someone who's in recovery. People don't like to necessarily talk about recovery.
Mm-hmm.
They don't not necessarily like to talk about the difficulties of what it's like to be in recovery. And I think that this film took a very interesting twist because it focused on someone who is that way and who is incredibly vulnerable. In fact, there's one scene here they talk about a young woman struggling
Mm-hmm.
comes into possession of the puzzle, and the purpose is to get the Cenobites. But what I thought was quite compelling about it, and this is the young actress here, was there was one scene in the story where her brother, who plays a pivotal role in her life, he kind of keeps her off the streets, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
as she's going through recovery, because it's not 30 days, guys. Recovery is not 30 days. It's the rest of your life. So
Mm-hmm.
she is very, very young. She's in recovery
Mm-hmm.
and she's dating some guy, and her brother kind of says, I understand that you're in this relationship, but he's not supposed to be dating you because you're in recovery. And I thought to myself, well, yeah, this is, depending upon what recovery you're in, there are rules and you have to follow these rules. And one of the rules, if you're in a 12-step program, or some of them, is that you don't go out on dates for a certain amount of time. Like, you're not supposed to get involved with anyone. And so I thought that was very interesting because that was the clue that you knew something was wrong.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
And it goes from one problem to the next to the next. She gets taken advantage of, and it costs her quite a heavy price, Lorena. I was brokenhearted at the end of this one. I still am brokenhearted. And I think that if a horror film is supposed to do anything, it's
Mm-hmm.
supposed to give you that sense of loss. And yeah, you see that she's lost something even worse than the sense of this addiction. It's really cost her maybe the most important thing in her life. So if a film can go ahead and tell that story, I think it's worth seeing. What do you think of Hellraiser bringing something back like this? Had you heard about this film, Lorena? What are your thoughts?
I did hear that they were going to be doing a Hellraiser reboot. Anytime I hear the word reboot, it, you know, sets my hair on fire because I'm just like, how the heck are they going to do this? I loved the original Clive Barker Hellraiser, scared the heck out of me. But I did like with the new Hellraiser how they used addiction as the gateway. If you remember from Hellraiser 2, Pinhead, aka Uncle Frank, the reason why he got so sucked into the box was because he was recovering from PTSD from World War One.
Mhm.
And he's saying, that was a generation that drank themselves to death and they were looking for a way to escape the pain that they were feeling. So I like that they updated it for modern day and we're talking about addiction. So I like that angle. I liked how they basically gave the Cenobites a different type of look, a more sinister look. With the original Hellraiser, they were mostly, BDSM kind of looking outfits, which worked for the time, completely worked for the time, which is how they did that. Now with this Hellraiser reboot, because they have CGI and more resources, they were able to be more creative with what the Cenobites looked like. They even made Chatterbox, which is the one that freaks me out the most.
Is that this one here, Lorena? It's kind of a
I
dark.
think I think so. Yeah, with the exposed teeth. Yeah, Chatterbox. They even made him even more sinister. This one is a much more bloody Hellraiser. Um, could they have gotten away with less gore? Possibly, but it didn't detract from the story at all as far as I was concerned. So I was also impressed with kind of like the mansion kind of reminded me of something out of the Great Gatsby, but I loved seeing it and how the whole thing of the person who too much is never enough. They can never have enough, so much so that you make a deal with the Cenobites and that deal turns out to not be such a good one. So I enjoyed watching this again. I thought the marketing was not that great for this. Yeah, this tripped me out. I really did like how they did this here.
This is almost an artwork piece of design.
Yes, it is.
It is just spectacular what they were able to create here. This did not take 5 minutes to execute. This was, incredibly balanced and uh, creative. I've never seen anything like this. This is, I'm not going to say it's like Geiger, but it feels as if they took.
It does. You're absolutely right. Not to interrupt you. It does. It seems very much of a callback to Geiger. And not only that, the makeup look is a practical effect of a very, very, very talented makeup artist because that's a very pale look, but very dimensional, you know, at the same time. So between practical effects, CGI, and makeup, it's all of that together unforgettable.
It really is. And so those were those are some of my picks, Lorena. And I urge you to tell us if you haven't already covered a lot of, I'm guessing, films that you're interested. Let's hear the picks that you have. If you have any others, which I imagine you do have some that I have not
I
mentioned.
I do. So many of the ones that you mentioned were like on my list. So I'm actually surprised that I have a couple of
Yes.
different ones to add. One that I will add that I absolutely loved was one called Everything Everywhere
Yes.
All at once.
Yeah.
This movie was so trippy. I'd heard about it, hadn't seen it, and happened to watch it on streaming. And I'm like, holy crap, this is it's crazy. It's a very, very crazy, trippy movie that doesn't let up. The fact that, oh god, I cannot, but James, I think James Hong plays the grandfather, which I love that. I love Michelle Yeoh. Also, oh my gosh, the guy who played Short Round in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, he is in this movie as well, and it's a crazy sci-fi martial arts story, but at the crux of it is a very, very human relationship that everyone can relate to. So if you like kind of like a multi-dimensional sci-fi stories with a very unlikely heroine, this is a great movie. I enjoyed watching every single minute of it. You've got Jamie Lee Curtis who's in it as an IRS agent. I mean, just scenes like this that are just hilarious. I loved it. It's is it a family movie? Not young family. I would say teens would definitely like this movie because it's just that crazy. It's just that crazy. Yeah, Raccoonie instead of Ratatouille. Yeah, that was a good one. So yes, Everything Everywhere All at Once. I know it's nominated for a ton of awards this year. I believe it's actually competing with RRR actually for a foreign language film. Um, Definitely check this one out. Put this on your list to sit and to watch because it truly is a really, really fun and interesting movie. And I'm glad I finally got a chance to watch that. So
Yeah, I've heard nothing but good things about it. I have not seen it yet, so I'm so excited to watch it over this Christmas break, Lorena. I know it's going to be incredible. People have said nothing but great things about it, and
mhm.
your endorsement, obviously, I have to put this one on the list and make sure I catch it soon.
Yes, yes, definitely. So the second one that I have is one that I finally got a chance to see, and people kept talking about it, and that is Bullet Train.
Oh, okay.
This movie, I want to say, if you like, it's a cross between, I want to say, Pulp Fiction, the sickest anime you ever read, and just some good old fashioned intrigue. And everything happens on a Japanese bullet train. The personalities are just they're hilarious. They're absolutely hilarious with
Mm.
this person double crossing this person to this person who's clueless to a series of events and things, and all of it happens on the Japanese bullet train.
Oh my gosh, that sounds like it's the kind of film that I would love. It sounds amazing. It says five assassins aboard a swiftly moving bullet train find out their missions have something in common. And look at this poster, Lorena. That's one of those classic posters where you know the film is good. There's all these interesting characters.
Mm-hmm.
Brad Pitt is in it.
Yes.
And let's see. Let me take a
Julia Roberts is in it.
yes.
Um, those are the two that I remember. Also, I'm forgetting the actor's name, but he was in Mortal Kombat.
Yes.
He was in it. Who played Scorpion, original Scorpion. He was in it. The gentleman on the left, I am blanking on his name, but he is freaking hilarious. Black British dude. He is the conversations are like those crazy side conversations that they would have like you would find in Tarantino movies. So think of it like a Tarantino movie on a train.
Yes. Wow.
That's
Wow.
exactly what this is. So definitely another one to put on the Netflix watch list. I'm glad I did. I'm actually going to go watch it again. The lighting is crazy. The action is insane. The martial arts scenes are nuts. Great watch. Especially this part right here. I'm not going to, you have to watch it in order to figure out where this makes sense.
Well, I'm
um,
already enjoying the stills. This must be a remarkable film. I mean, look at these shots. Look at the colors, as you said, the action. He's got a knife in his hand. They even caught that.
mhm.
It's unbelievable. What? Oh, wow. Look at this. And
Yeah,
it's from the outside of the train, Lorena.
outside
Some of
frame.
these shots are just, oh, look at this. Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. 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 This is incredible looking. I can't wait to see this. I'm gonna also put this on my list, Lorena.
Yes. Put
Bullet
that on
Train.
there. Bullet
It's
Train, definitely.
cool.
And I have one more, and this will be my last one. One that surprised me in a very, very good way. And that would be Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio.
What?
Not Disney's live action hot mess known as Pinocchio, which was awful, and I turned it off after like 5 minutes of watching it.
Mhm.
Guillermo del Toro, who is a master of horror storytelling, basically gives his interpretation of the Pinocchio story told using stop motion animation and some gorgeous color palettes and lighting. And he tells the story of Pinocchio from a different and darker perspective
Oh my gosh.
within, I want to say, the first like 5 minutes, the way that the story is told, the way that he uses the stop motion animation and the voice characters and the lighting and the sets to tell the story is just, I was just fascinated with watching it. I probably wouldn't watch this with very young kids. If you do have young children, I would say watch it with them because there's some parts that are a lot of peril that can, cause a lot of anxiety. But in general, it's great to watch. You see Pinocchio as a different character. Geppetto is told from a different perspective, and you get to find out his motivation and more about what's going on with the story. Mussolini actually makes an appearance in this. This is actually set like in early 1940s.
Oh, look at this, Lorena. It's stunning.
It is it the artwork in this is absolutely stunning. I will actually say I'm a fan of The Nightmare Before Christmas because that was freaking groundbreaking. This is about on the same level, yet different. There's something about the story and the stop motion animation and also the music. Oh my gosh. There when he sings this song about his father,
Oh.
it is just, I mean, it just gets you. It really does get you. So I was so surprised by this. Again, I love Guillermo del Toro as an actor. I mean, sorry, as a director.
Mhm.
Love his films. So when I found out he was doing this one, I'm like, okay, well, where is he gonna go with this? But it's absolutely, absolutely genius. So if you want something a little different to watch, especially if you're a horror fan, because this does have a couple of those elements in there, you definitely want to watch Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio.
Well, Lorena, I have to tell you that even looking at these stills, they're absolutely stunning. The design on this is just lovely. And also, sometimes when, we always, Guillermo del Toro always thinks outside of the box. He has a different spin on horror,
Mhm.
but the level of detail in this, every single figure and every single thing is taken into account so that this looks balanced, so that this looks designed properly. So it
Mhm.
makes sense to the viewer when you're watching this. You can distinguish very certain things that they want you to focus on. I think it's so important to see that even in some of these stills where we see where the characters are, kind of addressing one another and touching one another. These relationships that we see here, it's so important. Even the lines, Lorena, for some of the puppets here, the detail and the delicacy of it, where they seem like they're paper thin, soft, wispy, almost like spider cobwebs.
Mhm.
They are still present. Very specific things to make this film look spectacular, to make it look like a believable living world, which it does look like a living world. These creatures are alive in this. It's really a triumph for, someone who has ideas that are just so spectacular. And certainly the imagination level is off the charts in this. No concern about what to do next or how people will be entertained. The level of creativity is off the charts here. um just looking at these stills alone, Lorraine,
Mhm.
I can't wait to watch this. This is also on my list to enjoy. My mom's gonna have to watch it too. She has no choice. But yeah, she has no choice. But that's how it's gonna be. And she's like, "What are we watching?" I'm like, "Pinocchio." She's like, "Okay." Like this is gonna be something she's gonna wonder what's going on, because a lot of times when you see productions coming out, you don't know what to expect. Pinocchio would need something that is grim, that has a different element to it, because he does have a sad undertone to him. Remember, he wants to be, let's say in one of the original stories, wants to be real. Well, something, it is very sad. It's a sad story. So, as far as I'm concerned, there has to be some element of reality to it. Perhaps
Mhm.
the dark dimension that you're mentioning adds another level of believability and entertainment to it, that Guillermo, of course, is known for, giving us situations, and sometimes even based on real life situations, in such a beautiful and splendid way. Lorena, I can't wait to see this.
You are going to absolutely enjoy it. I felt like a little kid again watching this with the way, the detail of just the puppetry and the story and the music, and again, how the characters interact with each other, how the puppets interact with each other. It's just it's beautiful. It's beautiful. So you definitely have to check it. Definitely have to check it out.
I am going to check it out, and I can't wait to see it. Certainly is a treat to get something. Anytime we get something from Guillermo del Toro, it is a treat, and certainly we appreciate it. And
Mhm.
Lorena, I can't believe that it's pretty much, I guess, the end of 2022.
I know, isn't it? It's like this year just it started off a little slow, but then just got faster and faster and faster and faster, and now it's practically almost over.
It is practically almost over, guys. If you are watching this, you're watching it on Boxing Day, which is the day that we normally do Ladies of the PGS. And so this is our special review for 2022. And I want to thank everybody who has been watching this. If you are at home, I hope you had a wonderful Christmas and holiday season. And Lorena, where can people find you?
Well, people can find me on Twitter. People can also find me on Instagram. And of course, you can find me on YouTube with various videos, live streams that I do with myself, that I do when I also have a positive fandom and others on my channel. We do Toxic Male Appreciation on Thursdays on Twitch, and then the repeat is on Sundays at 1 on YouTube. And we do watch parties. We do a lot of watch parties, from action movies
Yes.
to anime to Indian cinema, just so much. So we just enjoy having fun watching really, really good media.
Absolutely, Lorena, guys. Like and subscribe to Lorena Creel's channel. Lorena is also an expert on the parks. If you want to know what's going on in the parks in Florida, Universal, Disney, and not just those two, check out Lorena's channel. She has such wonderful holiday shows for the parks, especially now with the decor and special shows. So do go to her channel and turn it on. Enjoy it. Enjoy this season. Guys, please like and subscribe to Positive Fandom, my channel as well. You can find me on my channel. I'm going to be doing a special Sunday brunch this week, but guys, please do like and subscribe. Sunday brunch is usually a Sunday show at 10:30 a.m. in the morning. But also you can find me on Lorraine's channel, as we both mentioned, for our Toxic Male Appreciation Show, which is on Lorraine's Twitch channel, usually
Mhm.
on Thursdays. But you can also find me on the 1/6 Scale Man Network as well. Also here on the Burnett Network with Lorraine for our Ladies of the PGS show, and also for Midnight Musings, which I do with Robert. So, guys, Lorraine and I want to wish you all a wonderful holiday season. Yes, thank you everybody who is here, who's watching this. Thank you for all the support. We hope you all are well. And always remember, no matter where you are out there, to always be kind. Take care, everybody.
Bye.